One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. Our guest today is Jamie Zaninovich. Jamie is currently the Deputy Commissioner and Chief Operating Officer at the Pac-12. Greetings, Jamie. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Ty. Thanks for the opportunity.
Now, Jamie, you've been in college athletics for roughly 22 years. You served for 6 years as the West Coast Conference Commissioner. Of course, you were on campus at Princeton and some time at Stanford there. So you have a wealth of experience on the campus, and you have a tremendous amount of experience in terms of conference leadership. And that's what I want to talk to you about is, I guess, the nuances of conference leadership. What are some of the differences from leading a conference and leading from the conference office that differ from leadership on campus?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of my former colleagues who both worked in a conference office and worked on a campus used to say the difference between conference and campus is the highs aren't as high and the lows aren't as low, which I think is probably true. It's a very different environment in the conference office. You don't have some of the energy of a campus. You don't have student athletes and coaches, which in some cases doesn't allow for opportunities. In other cases, avoid some challenges. But I think the pace is a little different. In a conference office, you tend to looking for collective strategic initiatives that you can get all of your schools behind, and sometimes that takes a little bit more time. It also means that sometimes you have to lose a little bit more art than science. Managing different constituents that all have an aligned philosophy but sort of different needs. Again, a colleague one time described it to me. I said, being a conference commissioner in my previous life and now being a deputy commissioner is sort of like at the time we had 10 schools in the West Coast Conference. I've said I would say it's like trying to steer 10 battleships.
Oh, yeah.
I said, well, no, it's actually more like trying to steer 10 battleships in a bathtub. So that gives you a sense.
Right.
All the schools are different, but our job is to really work hard and work smart to try to find collective initiatives that help them all move forward in a way that serves their collective interest.
All right. And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. As a former commissioner, now you're deputy commissioner there. How do you balance or manage the differing concerns of the constituency? And I'll say multi-layered constituency when you talk about the athletic directors, the presidents, the coaches, the student athletes, and anyone else who's involved. I mean, obviously, media can almost be a constituent when you talk about the Pac-12. How do you manage balancing everybody's concerns and then balancing that with the concerns of the conference?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think you need to be a very strong communicator. Not everybody always agrees with conference decisions because if everybody has sort of different perspectives. If everybody always agreed, you may not be in the completely right place. But what we always need to have is strong communication and strong rationale based on collective philosophy and principles that have also been developed through the membership and partnership with the membership that are the basis for decisions. And the other thing is, athletic directors, presidents, coaches, they don't always see everything alike, nor should they. A coach's job is very different than an athletic director's job is very different than a president's job. And in some cases, you rely on different constituents for different issues. And we do have, like other conferences, very strong governance that pretty well defines, which of those groups are sort of the final decision maker on which issues. So in our case, the presidents manage all high-level, significant financial, all high-level strategic issues within the conference, whereas the athletic directors are the ones that day-to-day manage, along with our senior women administrators and our FARs, as part of our council, they manage the day-to-day policy issues. Yet the coaches are the ones that have the most close and intimate interaction with the student athletes, who fundamentally are who we serve as part of college athletics. So it's a delicate dynamic. I mean, communication is very, very important. Being a good listener is very, very important. And I think some of the advice I got was, when you work in a conference office, if you say something, do it. Right, like in anything, but in a conference office, if you make commitments, you really need to make sure that you follow through and build strong trust within your membership, because Again, everybody has a little bit different perspective, and our job is to hit the point of trying to make sure we serve those collective perspectives the best we can.
Right, and the credibility of being able to do that is of the utmost importance. And when you talk about making those decisions on the conference level, right, you're currently deputy and former commissioner. How does the current commissioner there, Larry Scott at the Pac-12, obviously he hires you for your experience and for your know-how. When there's a decision there, and there are all those different factors, all the constituency, a lot of them will align, some of them won't align. When there's a decision to make, how does he weigh your input based on, who you are and what you bring to that table there at the Pac-12?
Yeah, Larry's a really good collaborator. It's one thing I really like about working with him. He's one of those people that doesn't make rash decisions, but wants to get all the feedback he can, all the perspective he can. So we have a lot of internal discussion, not just me, but folks from our legal office, folks from our public relations office, folks from our CFO's office. He really wants to make sure he has every perspective before decisions are made. And then when the decision's made, we all move forward and make sure that we communicate it well, and most importantly, communicate the rationale for it well. Because obviously, we want to make sure that we have a strong process for where we end up in very key decisions that lead the membership.
Right. When you came on board, I believe it was 2014, was there anything that you brought from the West Coast Conference that the Pac-12 wasn't doing yet? I mean, you can learn from everybody, right? I mean, did you bring anything over that outside of you and your know-how, but anything from the specific conference that you did when you were commissioner that has helped the Pac-12 move forward in its mission?
So we actually had a lot of similarities. I mean, we were running a lot of the same sort of similar philosophy in terms of embracing from a brand standpoint, sort of West Coast and innovation. We both activated in Las Vegas. I think I've tried to up our communication with the membership a little bit. We brought in some orientation programs where we're bringing in key constituents when they join to make sure that they're highly aligned with the philosophy of the conference. So I wouldn't say there's any big programs or major initiatives, but more probably nuanced things that, along the way you pick up from all different contexts of different jobs you've had and leadership positions on things that you apply in different contexts. So I think there's some things we brought forward. I wouldn't say there's any one big thing, however.
Right, but operational things. I do have one final question here, and that's relative to communication, which you said was very important. Athletic directors and presidents, now they all have their own unique communication style and how they like to receive and consume information, but also how they like to send in information to be delivered to the recipient. As you start off as a commissioner learning, and then now you're in this role here as deputy commissioner, do you have to learn everybody's habits to be able to, you've talked about relationships and communication, to be able to communicate effectively with all those people who have 1,000 things on their plate?
Yeah, it's interesting. Some people, it takes a while to learn sort of the dynamics on each campus. It takes a while to learn the personalities of those involved. The campuses have very different relationships between or dynamics in terms of how the athletic director interacts with the president or CEO. In some cases, we need to help them with the communication channel. In some cases, we don't. And then there's just little things. You learn which athletic directors, if you want to visit and talk business with, you can do that during a game, and some, don't prefer that. Or is it better to make a visit around a game day, or is it better to make a visit when game day isn't happening? It's just different, and that's where the personal relationships and trust come in, where you just have to do a lot of learning. I think. Again, one of my previous colleagues said, you got to have big ears and a small mouth, right?
Right.
Open up and listen, and then set your strategy from that. So it certainly takes some time to figure out the dynamics, and then those change, right? I mean, there's never been higher turnover in college athletics, whether it's in president role, president CEO role, athletic director role, or coach role. So one of the things that's really important is when new constituents come in, and this is why we do our orientations, we bring council members actually to our office to meet sort of everybody and go through a whole briefing document on the strategy for the conferences. We need to make sure everybody's educated on, it takes a long time to execute these strategies, whether it's, sports-specific strategies or networks or otherwise. We really want to make sure that when there are new people involved, we can educate them as to what the strategies are.
Sounds like it's working there. Sounds like you brought in good wealth of knowledge there to the Pac-12, and then obviously everybody operates based on the things you mentioned, trust and communication, which are the root of success for a huge organization like the Pac-12 conference. I really appreciate you joining us here on One Question.
Right, I appreciate you having me, and keep up the good work with D1 Ticker. We all enjoy it on a daily basis.
Thank you very much. That was Jamie Zaninovich. He is the Deputy Commissioner and Chief Operating Officer at the Pac-12, and this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.